Do you remember the manga children from Mil Mayora? So I wanted to read something in the same spirit when I came across a manga called The Cradle of the Holy Coffin of the Old Maid Manga by Natsumi Kei, the artist of some episodes When Seagulls Cry and When Cicadas Cry. The Cradle of the Saint is a manga about two brothers who, left without parents, end up in a boarding school on a remote island. At first glance, Elysium, as this place is called, is a real paradise, but only at first glance. One incomplete day is enough for his infernal essence to come out, and the children realized they need to escape from here as soon as possible. Did it turn out to be a deeper story than Miyun Miura's, or is it exactly the same trash, where everyone just kills each other? We'll find out now. And before proceeding to the retelling, I ask you to support my channel with a like and a subscription. Well, it's time to start. In the center of the plot are two main characters, the elder Jugo and the younger Shira. The story begins with the pages where we learn that they have no one but each other. Jugo set himself the goal of protecting the weak junior, but after he realized that this was not what he needed, all Shira wanted was a kind and beautiful mother. Then we see how they get acquainted with Sister Cora, a blonde woman dressed like a nun. She has a boarding school where she wants to take two new students, and now she will be their guardian. The children are happy because they will live with such a beautiful woman. The children's mother died while still young, and their father died quite recently. He often drank, so he beat them regularly. Remembering the promise to take care of Shira, which Jugo gave to his mother, he constantly looked after the younger one, and put himself under blows for him. They had their own secret place, where they waited out their father's alcoholic attacks, but they would not have to hide anymore. Now Jugo is telling Sister Cori that Shira, although he looks fragile, but he can still be relied on. The second one adds that Jugo is very lazy, but Shira likes to do everything on her own. The trustee hugs the younger one. They say that he did a great job. He must have been very sad without maternal care, so let him continue to enjoy his childhood. And she also wants the boy to call her mom. When Shira says this word, tears appear in his eyes. The woman hugs him again, saying that expressing her emotions is normal, noticing that the brothers are very close. Cora tells about her boarding school. It is located on an isolated island. The brothers like this arrangement. Jugo will be able to look for caves or secret places, and Shira will probably be able to see the sea for the first time in her life. So they arrive by boat at their destination. The nun does not have her own boat, but she does not need it. There is everything necessary on the island. And when she needs to go on business, fishermen from the neighboring one give her a ride. They reach the boarding school building itself. Everything looks very beautiful and rich. Shira seems incredibly happy. And this makes Sister Cora herself happy. On the way to the building, the elder Bede notices that the locals dig holes and pour something there from small buckets. They look up from work when they see that their guardian has returned and immediately surround the woman. The children behaved well in her absence and did a good job. One of the oldest guys with a charming face, named Nika, immediately rushes from behind. He asks for a reward, because he has done twice as much work. And he gets it from a kind of candy from a jar that the nun carries with her. Next, Sister Cora asks the children to greet the newcomers, turning to the brothers with such an expression on their faces. They immediately put on masks of friendliness. Another girl comes forward, and her name is Mito. She says that she will show everything to the newcomers, and let the rest go back to work. The new mother also leaves them to check how the children have worked here in her absence. So, the boarding school is called Elysium, which can be translated as paradise or blissful islands. While Shira is admiring the local surroundings, Jugo notices that a Western-style house on secluded islands must have some dark side. And he must definitely explore everything here. He scares the younger one with the question, "I wonder what if I find a corpse here?" And then the joke goes too far, and he suddenly says that there are bloodstains on the back of Myth's skirt. Either there is some kind of connection here, or she has women's days. The girl pulls herself together, and then explains that these are the traces of a grenade. Here on the island, they are all engaged in its cultivation. The juice of these fruits resembles blood. That's what Jug thought. Nita brings them to the room in which the brothers will now live, and then leaves them. The brothers are happy, especially Shira. Such a big house, good Sister Cora. He is ready to live here until the very end. From now on, they can live smiling until the end of their days. Dressed in uniform, the boys came to dinner. They were not seated at the common table, having allocated some ordinary desks away. Everyone is talking about how happy they are, and in many ways thanks to the nun. Sister Cora says that everyone here is children, seeds, and in her garden, she will give everything that is needed, so that at the age of 18 children are ready to go into the big world. Here they will gain experience, learn different emotions, and discover their potential. There is nothing more beautiful than watching the seeds turn into beautiful flowers, and watching this process is the real joy and purpose of her life. We are shown the peaceful local environment. Everyone loves everyone. Sister Cora offers to drink pomegranate juice, in the form of which Jugo recognizes blood. And in the end, everyone starts eating. The older brother ate everything. The younger one left tomatoes on the plate, which the nun immediately notices. He explains that he can't eat them. As soon as he puts them in his mouth, he immediately begins to feel sick. Jugo is ready to lend a helping hand, and says that he will finish for him. He's already picking up a tomato with his hands, and is about to send it into his mouth. But then his sister stops him. Tears begin to flow from her eyes, and she asks the younger one if he understands why, covering his face with his hands. The sister notices that of course she does not know, because otherwise he would not have treated her so cruelly. Shira. She turns to the younger one. I can't believe you're such a terrible kid who doesn't appreciate love. In tears, showing a slice of tomato, she shouts that this is love. Jugo doesn't understand what's going on, what kind of love. This whole scene is just because of some tomato. The nun keeps talking. She tells how farmers work hard to grow them. Cora also prepared a dish out of great love for Shira, so that he would be happy. This is the fruit of love, which the younger just trampled on. Jugo can't keep quiet anymore. I'm still in shock that a nun cares about such little things. He asks what's wrong with not eating what you don't like. Besides, if the elder eats everything, then the food will not be lost. Are you saying I'm wrong? Sister Cora asks, do you think I should tolerate that Shara doesn't want the fruit of my love? With the words, the sister should not tolerate this, and suddenly the children get up. Scarred Nick declares that, as he believes, bad children should be punished. Jug is immediately grabbed from behind, and his hands are tied. The others knock Shira to the floor. Now the younger one will be punished, and this method of punishing a hungry dog is called. A dog mask is put on Shira's face. Cora brings a plate with 4 more slices of tomato and puts them on the floor. This is the fruit of love, says Cora. Eat your fill, puppy. Jugo starts screaming. Why is the nun humiliating his younger brother so much? He said he was sick of tomatoes. If they don't want to transfer the food, then the elder will eat everything himself. But according to her sister, Shira can't rely on Jug all her life. After all, before that, the younger one did nothing but run away from everything, blaming it on the older brother. He will not be able to become a strong and handsome man if he continues to live like this. Will you really disobey your mother? The nun asks. Closing her eyes, Shira opens her mouth. When he starts eating, Cora praises him, but expectedly the younger one begins to feel sick. Tomatoes by themselves are not given to him, and then there is also a mask that stinks of drool and rot, apparently because it has been used repeatedly. He apologizes in tears, explains that he can't. But then other children forcibly start shoving food into it. They didn't take dolikas, but whole vegetables, which is why Shira can't breathe. Then the nun asks to stop and not force him, because it should be punishment, not torture. She explains to Junior that it's for his own good. She's doing it for him because she loves the boy. The sister talks about how important it is to overcome this and promises to support him on the way. And so she watches as Shira finishes everything off the plate. The sight of this process makes even Jug feel bad. Removing the dog mask from the younger's face, Cora asks to say the following words. It was very tasty. Thank you very much, Mom. Covered in tears and drooling, the boy repeats these words. Later in his room, Jugo suggests that Cher run away, but the younger one does not answer anything. Seeing that his clothes are dirty, the elder goes to wash them. He himself is bursting with anger right now. How could they get into such a place? He had hoped that they would be able to live in peace. We need to think about how to get out of here. But how? The island is isolated. Going to the window, he sees that the pomegranates have begun to bloom. But if they started, how can you get dirty in the juices of their fruits? Perhaps there was blood on Mitt's skirt then after all. Mentally, he returns to the memory of digging a hole, asking himself what kind of work those guys were doing in the garden back then. Going outside, he approaches a shovel sticking out of the ground, but then his attention is attracted by a colony of ants that surrounded a human finger. We need to get out of here, escape from this crazy paradise. Only I can protect my brother. Taking a shovel, he begins to dig. Jugo, why are you digging so late at night? The elder brother freezes, hearing the voice of Sister Mountain over his ear. She offers a naughty boy who does not sleep after lights out to go to her room. The nun remembers that Jugo likes to explore different places. Does this mean that he was looking for treasures so late? He needs to sleep properly to become a wonderful adult. If he can't sleep, he can sit here. She offers him to drink hot pomegranate juice to relax, but he just stands there. It seems that she sincerely does not understand why the guy was smiling so widely in the morning, and now he is so pale. But suddenly it does come to her. He was embarrassed in front of his brother. But does Jugo really want Mom's hugs too? After all, he is also hungry for his mother's love, so now she will give it to him. The elder of the guys pushes the one who went to the floor, picking up a knife. Clutching it in his hands, Jugo admits that he knows everything. He saw a human finger in the garden. He directly asks what is meant by work, what the children dug in the garden, and what they buried. With the words, "So you saw everything." Sister Cora rises and unbuttons her robe, exposing herself to the waist. Then the crazy woman comes closer, opens her mouth to them, and puts her breasts in there. She is sure that it will be easier for him to fall asleep after this. The knife falls out of the guy's hands, and his head stops thinking. He doesn't understand what's going on right now. The nun explains that the finger belongs to a child they recently said goodbye to. If a child can't do anything properly, then they can't let him go into the adult world either. You can't cope in the garden. You won't survive outside of this place. When she says what difficulties you would not go through, you will become beautiful flowers. Jugo manages to rip out his mouth and escape. Sister Cora thinks he was just shy. After rinsing his mouth after the woman, he still can't figure out what's wrong with her. He had risked everything and made it clear that he knew everything, but there was no logic in her reaction. Mentally, he returns to the question of how to escape from an isolated island in parallel with these reflections. He went into the room and saw Shira, who fell asleep in a sitting position, after which he put the younger one to bed. He himself understands that there is only one way out, its abode. But will it be possible to sneak onto it? And even more so, will it be possible to wait for its appearance? Jugo is sure of only one thing now. He will not allow this woman to get her way. In the morning, he was woken up by Shira, who behaves as usual. The youngest himself says that everything is fine. He was shocked, but he is aware that he is to blame. He should have eaten tomatoes. From now on, the younger one will try very hard not to let his sister down. Jugo is going to object and tell about his find, but immediately wonders if it's worth it. But one way or another, and there is no time, you need to get dressed and go to breakfast. Everyone greets them as if last night never happened. After taking the food, the brothers sit down at the common table, when suddenly Nika hangs over Jug, asking why the fuck he sat in his place. Since the brothers did not know, they will be forgiven this time, but in general, everyone here has their own place, which is awarded according to the rating. The older one doesn't like it either. Rating of good children. Is there already some kind of formed hierarchy here? Sister Cora came. She sees that Shira is in ordinary clothes and asks about it. The younger one explains that the older one has washed it and the clothes are not dry yet. For this, thank God, he will not be punished. So, first they will hold a meeting, and only after that they will start having breakfast. The nun asks Jug to come closer. Jugo broke the rules last night. He didn't just wander around the house after lights out, but also went outside. She notifies everyone. The older one says that this is too much for the sister, and last night she made a scandal over a trifle. Was that one violation? Cora asks in response. You also threatened me with a letter opener, remember? All the children began to verbally support the poor nun. Mita immediately rushed to ask if she was injured. Now the trustee is only interested in the opinion of the others, how they can re-educate this terrible child. Nika offers 2 punishments for 2 misdemeanors. Sister Cora is pleased with the ingenuity of her pet for threatening with a knife. He will receive a punishment called a porcupine. For not being ready for adulthood, a cicada. Jug is immediately surrounded and grabbed by the hands. Having knocked him to the ground, they pull off his pants. Nika takes a multi-injector and starts explaining what it is. It's a device with a bunch of needles that pierce the skin twice. But the charming schoolboy is sure that the older brother will be fine. So, under Jug's clicks, he is injected with a multi-injector twice, once on each buttock. Now you will understand all the pain and fear from the proximity, the tip of the weapon, blushing, says Sister Cora. Now we can proceed to the next punishment, and you will become a wonderful adult. It's time for the cicada. Jugo throws him into a cage in a dark room. He will live there indefinitely. He will be fed and watered, but all this time, there will be no light source. There is an opinion that in complete darkness, a person will go crazy in 72 hours. So Nick wonders if the older brother will be mentally fine when they meet next time. Jugo can't sit because of the porcupine. It is also undesirable to lie on such a surface with the fifth point downwards. So now he can only crawl. Feeling like a bug, he comes to understand why this punishment is called cicada. Senior yells to be released. But of course no one will do that. It's unclear how, but time is passing. Sitting in a cage, he is tormented by thoughts that he may miss the ship. Then a nightmare comes in the dream. From time to time, scraps of food and water come through one pipe. Slowly, Jugo comes to realize that he is going crazy. A little later, he started hallucinating. And after an indefinite time, when it was already possible to sit on the fifth point, he bites his finger, thinking that he can't go crazy in such a place. He will definitely endure everything, survive, and pull Shira out of this hell. But still, the isolation in complete darkness almost took its toll, until the door finally opened. Waking up already in his room, Jugo is happy to note that he is alive. But the Shire is no longer his belongings, nor himself. Worried that something might have happened to his brother, the elder immediately ran outside. The fear became even stronger when he saw that everyone was now working in the garden. On the street, Mitya immediately asks for help. Sister Cora herself is also happy to welcome him there. Jugo asks incredulously, where is Shira? But he also works in the garden here. Everything is fine, nothing like this has happened in these 3 days. Jugo is shocked because according to his feelings, he spent almost an eternity in the dark. But on the other hand, he is glad because it means that the boat has not yet been to the island. Then he asks his younger brother where his things are. He answers that with him. It's just that he himself was moved to a common room. Shir is called by other children. Before going to them, he tells the elder that this is a great opportunity for him to stop always relying on others. Then he says that he has already made friends with everyone in the common room. Then the younger brother goes to his new friends. It's time to eat. Shira was transferred to a common table. Jugo is sitting alone at a separate one, wondering what happened while he was gone. After the meal, Shira volunteers to help her sister. The nun praises him and decides to reward the candy from the jar. Putting it in his mouth, she hugs the boy, saying that she loves him and that he has the potential to become a wonderful adult. Seeing this picture, later Jugo came up to ask, what does it all mean? Was Shir threatened or something else happened that he so suddenly decided to get close to everyone? But to the younger brother, they all don't seem so bad. He was treated well while the elder was carrying out his punishment. Jugo notices that Shira is behaving strangely in principle. After these words, a girl named Sheena appears from behind, who says that it seems to her that Jungna is the strangest here. She laughs that the elder is such an adult and so depends on others. In her opinion, the guy, too spoiled, was punished for his own misdeeds, but still portrays himself as a victim. Or he is just jealous. Shara notices that Sister Cora mentioned something similar. Then Jugo suddenly starts screaming, which scares his younger brother. Seeing such a reaction, and realizing that Shara reacts negatively to the screams after her father's behavior, Jugo begins to apologize. Sheena takes his younger brother and takes him away. Left alone, the elder Bayat still thinks that he needs to run away. He puts a pen in his pocket, intending to use it as a weapon in an emergency. He himself will try to play along with this farce, secretly preparing to escape. Hearing other children discussing work, he volunteers with Shara to help with the delivery of goods another day. He went outside with a soccer ball. More precisely, it's a bag that looks like a soccer ball. Other children offer to play, and he throws it far to the beach with his foot. There are his things that he will hide in advance. He would take out Shire's things a little later. Suddenly another child appears behind him, who immediately asks, will Jugali be on duty during the next delivery? He offers to help them, but the older brother refuses. Then the guy with glasses asks another question, do you want to escape from boarding school? Jugo begins to think feverishly about what to do. Threaten with a pen, arrange an accident or something. But the way out appears by itself. The guy asks if Jugo can take him with him. He takes his older brother to a place where they will not be overheard, and there he introduces himself. The boy's name is Kane. He has been living in a boarding school for 6 months now. The guy regularly coughs because he has poor health. Jugo still doesn't believe him, and when he makes it clear that he knows what the others are doing here, Kane says that then there is no need to tell. This place is a paradise full of lies. Violence and harassment rule here. He's an honest man who didn't suffer much because he didn't stand out much. The older brother asks why he has never tried to escape in 6 months. And in response, he hears, what do you think will happen if the escape fails? No one has tried to escape from here yet, so he can only guess what will happen if he is caught. The slightest suspicion from the outside, and you will immediately be snitched on. There's really no one to trust here, so he just didn't have the courage all this time. Then Kane admits that he has a younger sister, with whom they were separated, and he really wants to find her. Then Jugo asks what he will benefit from such cooperation at all. Kane has something to offer, but before that he accidentally shows a photo of his sister, and then he shows the bill of lading. There you can write the coordinates and paste them on the box, climb inside yourself, and then it will be delivered to the right address. The guy with glasses has nothing more to offer, but if Jugo wants, he can take a photo of his sister as a sign of trust. From this gesture, and the older brother melts and agrees. So, on the day of the escape, Sister Cora suddenly approached Jugo, saying that she was very glad, because since that punishment, the guy has been trying very hard to settle down here. Then she hugs him, and whispers in his ear, that if he does a good job today, she will invite him back to her room. Later, Datu began to prepare a trolley for cargo transportation. Another guy brought them something, and offered to help, but Jugo refuses. He insists as Kane appears and says that they were looking for Ninima, having given themselves up to the pier. The guys began to prepare for escape when Jugo tells his younger brother to get into the box. Cher begins to misunderstand, which turns into hysteria. He does not want to run away and does not believe that people are being killed in the boarding school. He firmly says no and tries to run away, but his older brother catches him. Shira is convinced that everything that happened earlier was done only for his benefit. If they run away now, they will be left on the street without food and without a home. After a couple more attempts, the older one manages to convince the younger one to get into the box. Then Kane had already closed Jug. The boat sailed. The elder feels that they have been lifted and started to be dragged. But suddenly after some time it comes to him, too much time has passed. Plus, the boat doesn't swing like that, and he also doesn't hear either the engine or the waves. The box opens and the face of Sister Cora appears in front of him, who says, "Welcome back, Jug." Seeing her and all the classmates around, the older boy begins to scream. Earlier, when putting Shira in a box, the older boy offered to watch fireworks together after the escape, and now, both he and his younger brother were caught on the run. Sister Cora is not angry with the second one. She is sure that the boy was simply lured by his brother. Jugo starts shouting at the nun not to touch Shiro anymore. In his mind, he's still trying to figure out how they got caught. Nico reads it on his face, and therefore decides to share. Kane turned you in. That's just the traitor himself is not visible. He escaped. He framed the newcomers to distract suspicion from himself and occupy others, and then he escaped. You've missed a fugitive. This one phrase of the bark is enough to make the rest of the children horrified. Jugo is even happy in his thoughts, watching the general panic. The situation, of course, is unpleasant, but the guy with glasses will be able to call the police. Escape is the most serious mortal sin, the act of weak and evil people. The nun asks Mita to say out loud what it means to escape from here. It's like an escape from society, the foreign ministry says. Those who cannot live even in such good conditions as here have no right to be part of society. To this, Sister Cora asks, if anyone had guessed that Kane was so weak in spirit, wouldn't he have saved him from this misfortune? Nika comes forward and says that they are all to blame for Kane's escape. In such a situation, they should all bear collective responsibility, and suggests using the punishment of the royal snake on everyone. Sister Corna is satisfied with this choice. All the children sat in a circle. A wet rope was tied around their wrists. Jug was tied to a post, and the same wet rope was tied around his head. Then the teacher's pet binds himself. The nun happily watches what is happening. Suddenly, the rope begins to tighten, digging into the skin. It seems to the older brother that his head is about to burst. Unable to bear the pain, the children tearfully ask for forgiveness and promise that no one else will escape from here. Shira also repents that he could not dissuade his brother from running away and promises that he will never run away again. My sister watches this picture with love in her eyes. The ropes begin to burst a little bit at a time. Everything is calculated, so that it will happen by itself when they shrink enough. Children are just a tool of self-satisfaction for you, Jugo says to his sister with rage in his eyes. Fuck you, you evil old witch. He also says that Kane should be far enough away by now, and will call the police as soon as he gets to land. With a sad look, the nun leaves. Losing consciousness, he thinks that he will escape anyway, and now he can only believe in his friend. A little later, Nika brings him to his senses by pouring a bucket of water on his face. And Sister Cora has already returned, and not alone, with Kane. After letting out a tear, she says it's time to start pruning. For the further development of the boarding school, they must clearly identify the interfering branch. And for this, a vote will be held now. All the children are in shock. Mita raises her hand and says that bad children should be punished and not do this to them. The nun responds with another garden metaphor, and after that everyone generally supports pruning. The fugitives, not counting Shire, were tied up and left for a while. Then Kane admits that he planned to betray Jug from the very beginning. He decided that he could, if everyone else was busy with the brothers. There was no guarantee, it was just insurance, and the bet didn't play. His conscience did not torment him. For the guy, there is no one more precious than his sister Jugo. It seems that Kane is not angry with him. He wonders if what is happening now is punishment for his offense. And after that he still apologizes. Now he is ready to accept his fate. He's going to die soon. Whether he lives to the end of the punishment or not, but he will definitely not see his sister anymore. After the last words, he begins to spit out blood. Kane tries to say something, but it is given to him with incredible difficulty. No way. Don't eat candy. He speaks through force. Jugo is trying to find out what is in these candies, as the others return with masks and garden objects in their hands. The oldest in the boarding school, his name is Ichiko, makes a gag out of ropes, then the guilty are put in large bags. A vote is about to take place. The one who gets the most votes will turn out to be an extra branch of Nick suggests reviewing the voting process itself. If the child believes that someone is an extra branch, then let him immediately hit the bag with a garden tool. She likes the idea, but there is a risk that they will cut off both branches this way. The scarred one sees nothing wrong with this. If you are a good boy, then God will spare your life, even if there are several voices against you. Nika is the first to stick his instrument into Jug's bag. Shira immediately runs to him and tries to remove the ropes. The sister's pet stops the younger one. If sensitive boys and girls see the face, it will be more difficult for them to vote. The nun says that everyone reacts like that in the beginning. Then she suggests continuing, explaining that the need for choice helps to feel responsible. The trustee breaks into a smile, asking the children to be determined and remove all obstacles on the way to a bright future. Every child votes, and so the turn comes to the Shire. There are 2 bags in front of him, one and joined with garden appliances. In the other, there is only one gun sticking out. The boy doesn't want to do it, because no matter how you look at it, it's murder. Sister Cora answers with the question, can self-defense be murder? Is the punishment of villains akin to murder? It is very important to do this, because then his heart will unite with them. Shira notices that there is no sense in his voice now, the advantage is already obvious. In the form of the boy's confusion, the nun puts the blade to his neck and asks if he is really the same as his older brother. Shira replies that this is not so, he will continue to try, and he will never run away again. This, of course, is great, but the pruning will not end until the boy gives his vote. He drops his weapon and begins to cry. It's a pain, and he doesn't want to cause it to anyone. Sister Cora suddenly hugs her younger brother. She says that Shira is a good and sensitive boy, able to sympathize with others from the bottom of his heart. He is very diligent, and therefore has to endure this pain. She asks the boy to show her his height. Shira drooped. He doesn't want to kill anyone. He doesn't want to hurt anyone, but he wants to be loved, and for this he must be obedient. Under the close supervision of the flushed-faced driver, he slowly approached the bag and plunged his gardening device. The nun bent over in ecstasy, covering her crotch. "Ah, my dear, my diligent Shira," she says, being in bliss. It was perfect. After pruning, the children immediately began cleaning. Jugo, with a bandaged face, digs a hole next to the Vedas, in which the crushed remains of Cain are. He remembers that as soon as the bag was untied, the elder Bede lunged with his teeth at Sister Cora in a frenzy. But Mitya, who offered her hands, did not give him a bite. Lying on the floor, Jugo asks how she dares to force her to do such things, remembering what he was like as a child, who was worried even because of the death of a cockroach. He would never forgive her. He is comforted by Nico's leg. The nun hopes that the elder bat has learned from this lesson, and then says that it's time to prepare for a festive dinner. Since there will be 10 abata now, the children will need to write all their wishes on a piece of paper. She also asks the other children to tell her what they wish. After that, Sister Cora asks Jug to bury the remains of the deceased fugitive, but before that, a stun gun bracelet was put on his neck, and a supervisor was introduced next to him, a girl named Kukuri. When he finished digging, the hole turned out to be in the shape of a man. Taking the buckets, Jugo began to fill it carefully. When he fills it, he sees the image of Cain and drops his tears in the remains, ground to the state of liquid. Having finished with the burial in the evening, the elder brother turns to Kukura, and the girl asks if he knows why this place is called the Island of Eternity. Because once here, it is impossible to return back before it was an island to which the current carried away the children. Those who were let on the water to get rid of hungry mouths, everything flowed here. Adults told children about the land of eternity, where hopeless happiness rules, so the children themselves wanted to get here. Because of this story, festivals are held several times a year on the neighboring islands, where lanterns are launched to rest the souls of children carried away by water. Then, looking at the grave, Kukuri says that she is sure that the exact same fate awaits her. She can't be a perfect baby, so she will definitely become fertilizer later. Jugo refuses to accept such a fate. He doesn't live to please adults. Remembering Cain, the older brother apologizes. He was stabbed very close, and the guy couldn't do anything. He doesn't want to dig graves anymore. Jugo will surely become free and destroy this paradise. It might make you feel better, Kukuri suddenly says, but Cain was already dead when it was your brother's turn, so he didn't kill anyone. The next chapter begins after some time. There Jugo and Kukuri are making out. One of the children is watching. Any relationship is prohibited in the boarding school, so he understands that he is obliged to report to his sister. But the pervert can't stop peeping in any way. Seeing a woman's bra, he pulls it off and after sniffing, tries to hide it. But then Jugo grabs him by the head. Accusing the kid of stealing underwear, the older dad is interested in how Sister Cora will react. When she finds out that the kid was stealing women's underwear, they intimidate the boy, and when he panics, Jugo offers peace. The kid can keep the bra for himself in exchange for what he has in his pocket now. Moreover, it is possible that sometimes they will invite him to see what they are doing. The kid agrees, gave them the notebook, and ran away. The operation was successful. In a notebook, this little pervert collected all the information about other children. A month ago, when Jug's wounds healed, he was moved to a common room. He got Cain's bed. Even after the burial of this boy, Kukuri remained the supervisor for the older brother. Since the pruning, the atmosphere in the boarding school has been very tense. Shire's rating suddenly increased, and he moved to Cain's place. In addition, he was moved to a double room, and the boy now lives with Smith. The younger boy smiles as if nothing had happened, and now he has become even closer to Sister Cori. As for their relationship, Shira and Jugo didn't talk anymore. By the way, not everyone was happy with the change in the rating. The other kids expected that, given Cain's vacated seat, everyone else would just advance higher. A little later, Sister Cora said that everyone lives thanks to the approval and demands of the people around them, and then translated this into the fact that it is necessary to clean up the whole house. First, she asks the doll to properly teach the whole jug, and then praises that the girl is in closed clothes even in such heat. She indifferently thanks, smearing herself with words that this is because her sister is an example for her. And while the others have music lessons, the main character is washing the floors under supervision. He does everything alone. That's Korra's order. In the process, water accidentally turns on and blows over the doll, so that the girl is soaked through. She can't leave the post, so Jugo offers her clothes. She tries to change clothes, but suddenly she feels bad. She can't wear a man's uniform. The warden's backstory begins. Her parents really wanted to raise a lady out of her and dressed her up like a birthday cake all the time. Kukuri herself was a little sloppy, and she didn't like such clothes in principle. It was very easy to get caught or torn. She always wanted to dress like a boy, do and say whatever she wanted. Every time she heard, "But you're a girl," not wanting to give up, Kukuri began to rebel. In response, she received only beatings and lamentations. Pointing out mistakes, insults, long beatings, all this was an excuse to force his point of view on me. They clung on harder and kept hitting me until I obeyed, she says. One day, a neighbor helped her get out of this hell. She had her own plans and dreams, but out of the fire and into the flames, she immediately got here. And immediately realized what kind of nun she was, and the fact that he can't escape from here anymore. That's why she's been trying to be a girl for the last 2 years. And this system of fear and harsh upbringing broke her so much that it was only necessary to put on a man's uniform. As Kukuri immediately began to suffocate, the girl begins to get angry at herself, calling her pathetic. She wanted to be independent and cool, but she got into this lame life. Jugo calms the girl with words that her life can't be lame when victory is behind her. After all, she had lived in this hell for 2 years and had not succumbed to her sister's influence. Demonstrating a high level of empathy, Jugo cries, admiring and empathizing, continuing to insist that Kukuri is cool. Next, he suggests that she escape together. He needs her experience, and he himself will protect her, even at the cost of his own life. Instead of answering, Kukuri stood up and picked up a mop. She would help him, and when they were done, they could discuss plans. The first thing Jugo has to do is take up cleaning on a voluntary basis. Kukuri will remain his supervisor, so they will be able to discuss an escape plan. Plus, the elder bat will receive the favor of a nun with such a gesture, and finally, he will study the layout of the building of 3 birds with 1 stone with 1 shot to the question of what else can be done to escape. One of the options Jugo calls the murder of his sister. Kukuri doesn't like this option. With such a psychopath, you cannot enter into an open confrontation. Besides, she doesn't want to shed someone else's blood, even such a rotten woman. I was taught 3 ways to deal with abusive parents. She instructs the first to escape. The second is to find an ally. The third is to gather information. Escape is impossible now, so we will replace it with do not resist. Now it's better to concentrate on finding information, and it would also be nice to get allies. But you need to choose legibly. First, they decided to get rid of Eugene, that little asshole, who was always watching everyone to tell Cory. And here we come back to the consequences of interacting with the boy. Kukuri praises Jug, and he immediately blushes. Seeing his reaction, the girl says that it's stupid to do this with someone with whom there is no desire. Plus, after all, she herself decided that from now on she would do what she wanted. Looking at him, Kukuri thinks that they will not let this guy die, because he told her that the time that she pretended to survive was of great importance, and her real life is waiting for the girl ahead. She later reveals that there are 2 ways to survive in this place. This is to let a nun enslave herself, or pretend to be enslaved. Especially careful, and you need to be with the first. It is known for sure about 3 of these. Scarred Nika is the next tallest, and it seems that the oldest here is Ichika. And the third Mita, although she seems to be the most reasonable, but as her twin sister, Kukuri knows her better. No wonder the girl is in 3rd place in the ranking. The fact that they are a family doesn't mean anything. Mita does not feel satisfied if she is not the best in some business. While the heroes discussed the escape, others talked about their dreams. Nika dreams of opening her own business and working for the benefit of others, and Mita will continue the work of Sister Korra. And after her words, the nun later came closer with thanks. While Sister Kukuli continues to lick, Shur came up from behind and said that he also wants to be like Sister Korra. Mita immediately shows her attitude to these words. Later, she and the nun were left alone in room 2. Then Mita says that she came here to understand Korra's train of thought. She doesn't understand why Shira suddenly began to receive so much attention. What did he do to rise in the rankings and earn such a reputation? What has been said upsets the one who has gone. After all, it turns out that Mita does not understand her at all and does not trust her. A girl with an excellent student complex begins to apologize, and when Sister Cora asks if she really trusts, and gets an affirmative answer, she commands to undress. Mita doubts at first, but after the nun said that there is nothing shameful between women in this, and she bared her breasts. She carries out the order. The trustee comes closer and starts pawing her, making one compliment after another. Anyone who saw us now would be incredibly jealous of you, says the nun. While a sister with an excellent student complex melts from these words, Kukuri talks about her twin. Mita was on the side of her parents, an excellent student with excellent manners. Incredibly proud. She did not take part in the beatings, but she never helped her sister. You just need to live like all ordinary people, she once said, without breaking the usual family way of life. Kukuri is worried that her sister will one day become exactly the same monster. I'll skip the description of what Cora Smith did. From the point of view of the conversation itself, wading through all the compliments, it turns out that the first one considers the girl to be her soul mate and wants her to be her successor. Later, Mita reflects on what happened and comes to the conclusion that she was awarded this honor because she is special. Although at the same time, she feels as if her insides are rotting and falling apart. But that's not what's important right now, but to focus on completing the sister's task. Climbing the stairs, she begins to fall and drops the box that she took out of the nun's room. But there's nothing wrong with her, she was caught by Jugo. He asks if everything is fine, and Kukuri's sister blushes a lot. Then the older brother asks if his bite hurts. Agitated even more, she pulls her hand back. Not understanding her behavior, Jugo offers at least help in carrying the box. Taking it in his hands, he sees that the candy is inside. But suddenly Mita pulls her back and shouts that she doesn't need his care, and then runs away. A little later, Sister Cora got ready to leave. She sails off the island to bring a new addition to the family, and leaves Mitya and Nick in charge. Those who behave well will get candy. When she leaves, the children immediately get to work. Jugo is surprised to see that even so, no one is trying to escape. But you could at least try. Kukuri does not agree with him. To match her words, we see how one of the children walked past an open office with the inscription office. He saw the phone, but did not dare to call anywhere. When the boy leaves, Nika and Ijika come out into the light. They've seen everything, and the first one is incredibly amused. He asks the tall one if he has heard about what learned helplessness is. Seligman's dog experiment. When the dog was exposed to constant stress and had no way to avoid it, he stopped trying to avoid it, even when he was given the opportunity. A person who has become a pet will not run away, even when the owner is not at home and his cage is open, Nika continues. And the funny thing is, this feeling is contagious. What else could be easier and more fun? And in the garden, Jugo and the matron continue to discuss the escape. The doll reminds me of Cain. Everyone is responsible for the escape here, and if he gets caught a second time, he will definitely die. He should be cut on the nose. The prisoners and the guards here are the same people. Mitya appears from behind, asking what they are doing here, chastises Gemini for chattering, and calls for classes. Coming closer to her, Jugo pats the girl on the head, asking her not to overexert herself. When the person in charge leaves, the senior Bayat tells what happened on the stairs yesterday. Then, he tells about the fact that he saw candy in her box and finally asks, what is it all about? And then, the author takes us to Mitya's room, where local girls gossip about who likes which of the guys. The meaning of this dialogue is to show us this girl Aya, who likes Nika. When they ask Michu, she doesn't want to answer, but she remembers Jugo. She thinks that the hero is cruel, rude and insensitive, a delinquent who has no future. Then she blushes even more, remembering how attentive and kind he was. Then the day went on as usual, cleaning, food, lessons, shower and so on and so on. Late in the evening, when Mita was about to go to bed, she saw that the box was not standing as before. Opening it, she notices that one jar of sweets is missing. This is the end. Sister Korra will definitely turn away from her after this. But who could have done it? There can be only one conclusion: Jugo, who was the only one who knew that she had the candy. So with this presentation, she met him and Kukuri. She promises that she won't tell her sister anything if he returns them. Except Jugo didn't take anything. Kukuri suggests opening your mouth and proving that those who eat them have spots on their tongue. That's what he does, making sure that he didn't steal anything. Moreover, the hero offers to help with the search. Sweets at Ayu's. She ate them one by one after a shower, imagining Nick, and she didn't even notice how she got stoned in the trash. In the corridor, she was met by a friend who immediately began to call for help. Jugo and the girls have already come running, seeing that Ao is storming legendarily. Mita is in a panic. What to do? The girl is very feverish and has a strange pulse. No one knows how to help her. Other children had a strange reaction to sweets before, but then the others just waited for everything to pass by itself. Ao's friend says she's seen this before. One boy was in such a situation and died before the punishment. AI herself already has flashbacks for a whole U-turn. In short, her mother was crazy. That's it. A friend asks to call a nun, because if you don't find a way out, the candy lover is about to die. But she answers as Sister Korra herself would answer. A sister will never help a bad child. They don't deserve help. This is the result of her fall into greed and gluttony. I don't like Jugo. Kukuri comments that now they can only wait and hope that the girl will be able to get out by herself. Then Nika impressively enters the room and, showing some pills, asks those who need help to raise their hand. He has some kind of antidote. He will give it, but there are conditions. To prostrate before him and say, "I beg you, give us a cure for her sin." Jugo bows his head without thinking, and the scarred one asks, does he really have no pride at all? Continuing to bow, the elder brother thinks that he has never had that pride that would break just because he bowed his head. After these thoughts, he begs audibly for an antidote, but instead of doing his part, Nick shocks him. Jug's cheap humiliation didn't give up on him for nothing. Nita should bow down, but she can't bring herself to. Then Nika also shows a bag of sweets. She will be able to top up the jar with them to hide the theft. The girl is still crumpled, pride does not allow. She wonders what Sister Korra would say in her place. And feeling her disappointment, Mita still bends down. Nick, that's not enough. Now she also has to lick his shoes, continuing to beg for medicine. The girl sticks out her tongue, and the sadist puts his nose with a shoe right in his mouth. The humiliation is over, she is being given medication. The next day, the one who went returned. This time, the child could not be taken to himself. Nick was one of the first to grease up to her, saying that he behaved even better than usual. For this, they give him a candy, which he spat out as soon as he was in the room. Mita is brushing her teeth now. No matter how much she does it, the vile taste still does not go away. Then yesterday's girl appears, who brought Aya with her. The second one doesn't remember much about what happened, but she wanted to apologize anyway. Mita does not accept the apology, saying that she should not talk to her anymore. And to show us that Ayu has not learned any lesson from this, she demonstrates to us how a friend asks her to spit out the candy that her sister just gave. The girl first says that she has already swallowed the sweetness, and when she starts to be scolded, she insists that everything will be fine. Because she is alive and everything is thanks to Nico. Left in a huge place, Jugo and Kukuri spat out candy. The second one suddenly took the guy by the face. He already thought that now they would kiss, but she began to examine his neck for the presence of burns from a stun gun. She's sorry she couldn't help him yesterday. The guy replies, they say, he's glad that she stayed away. At that time, they would not have been able to act in any other way. But in any case, they are not going to give up. Then Kukulia talks about the sweets themselves. She and Jugo spit them out right away, so it's fine. But in general, because of them, the body becomes like a plush, and the mood rises noticeably. Then spots begin to appear on the tongue. If there are 3 of them, then it's all finita la comedy. Jugo understands the behavior of those who cannot give up this poison. Symptoms similar to alcoholism, which he observed in his father. Most likely, it was because of them that Kane coughed up blood. Kukuri says that he is starting to worry about Shira, and in order to protect him, they will need an antidote. Later, while Nika and Ichiko were in the shower, Jugo steals the key to their room. Kokori will need to quietly return the key, and the Elder Beat will try to find an antidote before they return. These two have a creepy room. BDM strays, a picture of Saturn devouring his son. A bathroom full of photos with all sorts of tin. That happened in the walls of the boarding school. He notices pills on the table and, coming closer, sees the inscription on the box glucose. Then Jugo realizes that Nika just tricked them, there is no antidote. The guys are about to finish washing, but Gigi is in no hurry to go out. He sees one filled with strange photos in the bathroom, which depicts a young Yachiko, a nun, and some other woman. Kukuri says to leave, because the guys are almost here. So much so that Juga got out at the very last moment through the window. He hopes that since they are curtained, the guys will not realize that the window is not locked. Then he can sneak back in at any moment. Judging by the observations, living here for 2 years, sure has about 6 months more before the poison kills him. Juga thinks that something needs to be done. And we are transported to Nika, who waylaid Aya later to ask how she is. Left alone, the girl begins to thank the charmed one for saving her. He pushes her against the wall and, calling her risky, adds that he is interested. A little panicked, the candy woman says that she wants to somehow thank the guy for his help, and he can ask for anything. Nika replies that he would like to get to know her better by asking slightly ordinary questions. He then asks who she likes. And she admits that he is. Amita, do you like anyone? Suddenly he asks. And it immediately darkens. Nika is smiling. She likes him, but she doesn't trust him. When the candy woman reports that, although the successor of Sister Cora did not say this directly, but she is interested in Jugo. As a sign of gratitude, Nick treats the girl with candy, since it's not just candy, but she has also been in his mouth. And her spreads, but quickly remembers that it's dangerous to eat them. The charmed one replies that everything is fine because he has it, and shows glucose. After confessing, and she also says that she wants to know Inika more and asks her questions. As soon as the phrase "what your mom and dad were like" flew off her lips, he immediately changes his face and grabs the girl by the head. She, in turn, immediately begins to apologize and runs away. When Nika was left alone, he caught a spider, killed it, and flushed it down the toilet with the thoughts that all living creatures are garbage. His backstory begins. Nick's mom gave birth to him right in the toilet. She thought about what to do with him, kill him or just leave him waiting for the boy to die himself. But instead she just put him in the bathroom. While the lover is playing the console, she offers marriage to her boyfriend on the phone. He does not agree. I am sure that the child is not from him. There is a bunny, but there is no lawn. So the mom asks the console player to let her stay with him, and for this she will sleep with him. The child was left in the bathroom, where he grew up a little bit. He grew up, as did his mother's hatred, which everyone cooled down because of him. Later, still alone, Nika began to find pleasure in killing insects. One day his mother caught him doing this and beat him with screams. It was hot from the blows, but the bathroom, which had been serving as the boy's bed all this time, was cool. Now Nika is thinking about what expressions the others will have when he kills everyone here. We switch to Sister Korm, who notices that Nick's birthday is coming soon and needs to think about what to give him. He has been here for 8 years, and now she remembers his first day. When the boy got to the illusion, there was no one in the boarding school except his sister and Ichika. He was immediately asked to help Ichika, who was engaged in grinding those who are no longer here. The boy was familiar with this smell, and, taking the tools, he immediately began to help. Nika, who went in delight, says that he is already used to this, because in addition to insects, he also killed dogs. Of course, he did not tell her about the latter. He gave out a lie that he was in a family of dog breeders, and sometimes had to get rid of those who were not bought. The nun is incredibly happy and asks this boy to help her guide other children. He promises that he will do everything for his sister. Corey needed a comfortable child, and Nika just liked doing it all. Everyone is happy. Then we see a guy torturing another orphan in the pool. There are ice buckets next to him. He asks the victim if he knows the most effective way to control people. This is a sense of guilt, and this is the main approach of the boarding school. You see, religion and the law are instruments of control, he continues. Everyone is afraid of becoming sinners or criminals. If you go against God, you will be punished. If you go against the rules, you will be punished. In general, to control people, you need to force them to do bad things and cause guilt. Make me think maybe I'm the bad one. Or maybe it's me that's really causing the inconvenience. In order not to become sinners, people try to please God and strive to serve Him so that He will be merciful to them. For this, they are even ready to push others down, and no one blames God Himself for this because it is a sin to despise God. When the victim dies, he comes out and tells the nun that the child was weak and simply could not bear his punishment. Passing by, he thinks that among people there are also those on whom guilt does not work. And these are psychopaths without a sense of guilt and without the ability to empathize. Now he will find out from Ichiki what they will give him. The news amuses him. He did not expect anything less from his sister. On this note, we return to Juga and Kukuri, who are engaged in cleaning. The guy says that he can't stop thinking about photography. It's just an ordinary photo, but there's something strange about them that he can't put into words. When he describes her, the girl doesn't see anything like that. It's just Ichiko with her sister Cora and someone else. Yes, except it wasn't Sister Cora, says Joga. She didn't have that mole, but the second girl had it. He thinks he needs to take another look at the photo. Perhaps this will help to bring a little clarity. Meanwhile, the nun meets with Nika. She informs him that she has a special gift for him. The guy has always been the best, and the guardian is incredibly proud of him. In response, Nick says that he loves his sister and thanks that she raised him hugging her warm body. He himself thinks how sick he is of her already. In his opinion, she's just a bag of shit. Until now, they got along only because of the similarity of interests. A little later, he tells Ijiki that they will kill Sister Cora and take over the boarding school on his birthday. And Juga heard about it, who was just about to get inside. When the guys left, he climbed in and found a photo. Without a doubt, this is another sister. And after turning over the photo, he saw a list of someone's names. Later, in the laundry room, Juga told Kukura everything. She's happy. Great, Nick will do everything himself, and they won't even have to get their hands dirty. After shouting about it into the drum of the washing machine, the girl exhales. It will only be good if they kill each other themselves. Kiji is still in turmoil. Nika is not one of those who will do something for someone just like that, so most likely, after killing a nun, he will want to take her place. So the situation is unlikely to get better, so the best option is to wait for chaos and escape from the island. Juga seems pensive to Kukuri, so she wonders what happened. Then the guy asks if she remembers the names of those who died before Cain. She calls them, and the guy realizes that they were all written on the back of the same photo. He had one thought: he wants to do something, and perhaps they will be able to find an ally now. Kukuri versus. It's the same as telling the guys that they are aware of their plan. Juga is still somehow sure that it's worth a try because he's one of them. So, getting up early in the morning, while everyone was still asleep, he went to the dining room. He started a conversation with Ichika from afar, saying that the food is much tastier when he is responsible for the preparation. Now he's asking him directly. She's your big sister, right? And you're going to kill a member of your family. Ichika replies that Jug has a very rich imagination. Then he asks, what does the newcomer want? Rat out. Then what? Tell him he can't kill his own people. Yes, Juga answers. And Chika, in his opinion, is initiative-free and has no inclination to violence. On the contrary. Judging by the names of the victims in the photo, he is able to grieve, and this is his way of erecting a tombstone. Since you are consumed with guilt for the murders committed by someone other than yourself, the main character says, then no matter how much you hate someone, killing a member of your family, you will suffer for the rest of your life. Why don't you run away with us? Don't let Nick and your sister use you. By forcibly cutting off the fish's head. The long one says that Juga doesn't know anything about them. If he wants to escape, let him. Ichiko will even tell him where the emergency boat is hidden. But let them leave him alone. A few weeks later, the pomegranates began to bloom. My sister is in a great mood, probably because today is her pet's birthday. And this means that today Ig and his girlfriend will begin to act. In the storeroom, they had already found a white bag that was hidden in plain sight. There's an inflatable rubber boat. The only catch is that it is triple. There is no doubt that the guy will want to take Shira with him, as well as the fact that Kukuri will not want to leave Michu. Maybe the four of them can swim together, or else Jugo will stay here. The girl asks him not to complicate everything. The kinder he is, the more likely he is to be stuck in this hell. Now the first priority is to get out and bring help. While Ichiko is cooking, Nika comes up to him and says that tonight their dreams will finally come true. And now it's time to celebrate. The nun brought a big cake. Nick thanks his sister and blows out the candles. The one who went asks the birthday boy to come into her room after, so that she gives him a gift. When everyone had eaten and started to disperse, Juga carefully threw the bag with the boat through the window. He rushes to the pier, where he will prepare the boat and wait for Shira and Kukuri, who in turn will have to bring her younger brother. Nika also came to Sister Kori to celebrate with Shichika. Smiling, he asks Charmy what kind of gift is waiting for him. He himself wants some new instrument of torture, but since this is a special day, the one who went prepared something better. Pulling back the curtains on her bed, she shows Mita naked and bound. She is ovulating now, so two of the leaders of the rating will definitely make beautiful children. And at the same time, Kukuri tries to shout to Shira, but he does not open the door for her. He doesn't seem to be in the room at all. And at the same time, Juga realizes that it will not work to escape by boat. Someone had cut her to shreds. A shadow appears behind him. And in the room, the one who went there spreads the girl's legs and asks her to accept her gift. Nick starts laughing, and Sister Kori managed to surprise him. That's what he likes about her. He asks how she subdued Mit, but the nun assures him that she didn't do anything like that. The Kukuri twin just wouldn't go against her word. Judging by Mit's face, she is still against it. Continuing to have fun, the birthday boy says that she actually likes another boy. That's how angry Korra is. I told you that you have no right to fall in love with someone without my permission. You swore to me that you would never do anything wrong. You broke your oath, and you decided to do it behind my back. Nika can't stop anymore, so she starts talking about the day when the nun left them alone. Seeing Mit's reaction, he stops short of getting to the interesting part and instead starts laughing at the bound one. After all this, she still doesn't want her sister to hate her. I like you, sister. Sitting down, he says to the nuns. This boarding school is a very wonderful place. Your own dollhouse with your own laws. So, sister, I want to make you a god. Blushing, thinking that this is a climb, Sister Korra suggests starting, but Nika would like to finish his thought. Because any god needs a legend, right? We're going back to Juga. The boat is cut up, and there is no way to sail away on it, but who did it? Did Ichiko or someone else find out about their plan? A hand is placed on his shoulder. He turns around abruptly, and the shadow shoves candy into his mouth. The attacker tried to cover the victim's mouth with his hands so that he had no choice but to swallow them. But what the shadow didn't take into account is that in addition to the mouth, Jug also has an elbow, with which he gets right in the face. Then he spits out the candy, and the attacker with the words "what a waste" picks them up from the ground and puts them in his mouth. After that, Shadow remembers that she has a remote control from the stun gun bracelet, but for some reason it doesn't work. We finally see who it is. This is Ayu. Juga asks why the girl ruined the boat. She could have run away from here herself. He's right, of course, but she doesn't care anymore. With these words, she pulls out a whip. In the name of the new ruler, she won't let anyone leave. The Candy Woman says that Jug has a very important role, so he must behave well, because she was forbidden to kill him. Meanwhile, Kukuri continues to search for Shur, who is nowhere to be found. Then the articles attack her from behind. Nick and Ichika told him everything. They said that Juga and Kukuri were going to kill Sister Korra. And this guy, thanks to his name of the site, will not allow her to be harmed. The site attacks again, but Kukuri dodges and tries to escape. If everything is going like this, then what happens? Ichika blabbed about the escape plan. Why did Nika designate these two? So someone is hunting now because of Jug. There is no more time to look for Shira, but it is dangerous to run to Juga. She can lead the tale. The girl got into a dead end. I've already caught up with her from the website. And then we returned to the sister's room, where Nika continued to talk. There must be a villain in every legend. The legend of the formation of Korra's sister is as follows. Jugo and Kukuri planned to kill their sister one day. Jugo decided to use a birthday party to achieve this goal. A painfully naive nun interrupts him, thinking that she is now being told a real story, but Nika continues. So, after learning about this, Nika hurried to thwart their nefarious plan. He told the other children to catch the villainous Kukuri, and he would personally punish the instigator of Jug. But suddenly he heard his sister's screams and immediately rushed to help, but it was already too late. Jugo has already mortally wounded Cory's sister. Nika defused Jug and rushed to Cory. On her last breath, she asks Mita to take her place. After all, it is very important that the outside world does not find out about the death of a nun. She asks to continue punishing bad children and raising good ones. She trusts Nick because he is the best in the boarding school. And with these words on her lips, she died. The legend sounds good, but Sister Korra dies in it. Nika agrees that in order to become a god, a person needs to die. The nun sincerely does not understand what the scarred one leads to. Instead of answering, he promises Mitya that while her lover, Jugo will not kill, although he will thoroughly torture him for the murder of Korra's sister. Then he turns to Ichika. The agreement was that the tall one would not interfere and then his dream would come true. But he decided to help Jugo escape. Nika knows about this because she has been looking after the new guy for a long time. And he doesn't like it when someone creates problems for him. No one will leave this island. And Chika lowers her head. The sister still doesn't understand what's going on. Nika tells her that after her death, she will be able to set the rules and decide which children are bad, and then punish them as she wants. This is one big coffin with abandoned orphans, and I am free to do with the contents of this coffin whatever I want. I'm going to make everyone here my toys forever and ever. Coming from behind, Ichiko grabs the nun's hands and handcuffs her. Nika says that the only gift he wants for his birthday is a boarding school. So please let her die for him. With these words, the charmed one plunged a knife into the nun's leg. The farewell party is about to begin. And while it hasn't started, Jugo is still on the beach with Ayu. She asks Gigi to take the sin for killing her sister. The guy refuses, and the candy lover sincerely does not understand why, because this way he can benefit Nick. So she intends to force him back. If he does everything right, then the girl will be well rewarded. Then Jugo starts to run away, but the candy woman repeatedly hits him with a whip. Once he managed to intercept the weapon, and then knock down Aya, but it didn't work out to take him away. Therefore, having risen, the girl wraps around his leg and begins to pull on herself. Then he begins to beat. Closing himself firm beatings, the guy thinks that he needs to endure. Ayu is a weak girl who was brainwashed by Nika. No matter what, even now he doesn't want to hurt her. Crucifying about the benefits they can bring, the girl sees Jugo trying to crawl away. Slowly, millimeter by millimeter. It seems that he has no strength left, so she keeps up with him even at a slow pace, continuing to strike, and saying that she will not stop until Gigi says the following phrase, "Please let me benefit Nick." When Jugo got to the boat, he tossed it up and covered the candy can. It is very difficult to get out of it, so he thinks that the round is now behind him. Taking a whip, straight wrapped up, he ties her up. Remembering the appeal from Nick, the girl is still trying to escape, and somehow she managed to free her hand, grab the sand, and throw it into the guy's eyes, and Jugo hits her in the face with a flashlight, and he loses consciousness. In the sister's room, the nun is crying now. The woman says that harming the one who raised him is not the act of a good person. But Nick doesn't take it because he doesn't have any feelings. No, Sister Korra continues. I've given you so many things, and today I've also prepared a wonderful gift. Beautiful children like you and Mita will definitely have a good child. Is this a misfortune? Is there a better gift than this? Surprisingly, in this position, she also continues to insist on Kodas. Nika definitely won't do it. Then, the one who went turns to Ichika, giving an order. Cut it off, Nika. Sister, says the tall one, you are the only one who will be cut off today. Without Nick, I wouldn't have survived in this place. Nika is an absolute evil, but he saved me. In the flashback, he and little Nick were lying in the room. Ichika is on the floor because it's more convenient for him. The tall one says he can't do it anymore, he's not that good at it. And then the little sadist replies that it would be more convenient for him to work without him and let the tall one work in the kitchen. When Ichiko says that it would be better if her sister died, then Nika promises that someday he will kill her. This promise saved the nun's blood brother many times. Now he tells her they say, cursed, that they are connected with her by the same blood. He always wanted to kill his sister. Nika applauds and asks if her sister has something to answer, revenge. The sister asks in surprise, but when I've done anything that would make you hate me so much, he's not going to explain himself, she won't understand. Even if he explains everything in detail. Nika passes a knife to a friend, saying that this is the only time he has such an opportunity to vent his anger. Go and get revenge on your ex-sister. Ichika raises his weapon over the nun, and we are immediately transported to Kukuri, who is being stopped by an extra. He is sure that his goal is to stop the bad villains, to which the girl asks him not to let himself be used. But he does not want to listen to her, continuing to attack. Not knowing what to do, Kukuri jumps off the balcony. The champion of justice is after her, but when he lands, he doesn't see the girl anywhere. Then she attacks him from behind with a kick to the face. And now we're back in the nun's room. Ichika suddenly remembers peeling potatoes as a child. Sister Nikora addresses him. She says that the tamagoyaki that the boy cooked yesterday were very tasty. Then the child says what else to cook now. The real trustee asks to let her see how he cooks and enthusiastically watches the process. She asks a lot of questions and suddenly, changing her face, Ichika asks, did he do something wrong? The girl apologizes, she just likes to communicate with people and get to know them better. She watched him, and it seemed to her that the boy liked to cook. That's just he doesn't know himself. He likes it, what he likes, whether he wants to cook at all. The nun comments that his hands are magical, and thanks to them, he is able to create delicious food. Then, the magic hands boxes that cooked delicious food, later warmed up with the blood of this woman. After Sister Cora whispered something in his ear. Suddenly, this woman reaches out to him and whispers one last time. I want you to always be happy from now on. Then he falls dead. Remembering Jug's words, Ichika drops the knife and falls to her knees. No. He wanted it himself. I dreamed. It's his sister's fault. But then why are his hands shaking? To avenge his real sister, for Rake, for the one who helped him imagine his ideal future. For the one who said that his hands are magical. He shouts that he didn't want to kill her. His hands don't obey. He remembers how his sister told him that she would only eat his beacons. Ichika is completely confused and therefore cannot kill Cora. He suggests Nick lock her up and tell everyone that the woman is dead. So Nick will have someone to torture as much as he wants. The birthday boy bends down and asks what is his friend so afraid of. Afraid to kill a family member. He's always planning to wipe her ass. Now Nick's kingdom is being built and Yachikov will be there to cook for him. The scarred one puts the knife in Ichiki's hands and directs it in the direction of the one who went. The tall one asks to stop, he doesn't want to kill anyone anymore. But then someone appears from behind and hits Nick himself. This is Shira, who has been sitting in the closet all this time. We are transported outside. Their Yu is watching out the window when Kukuri finds her. She sees Jug tied up and immediately tries to free him. Ayu continues to look out the window, wondering what the girl can be so fascinated by. Kukuri comes closer, and the girls see how Nika has just fallen after being stabbed. Giji also comes to himself, asking what is going on there. His girlfriend tries to warn him against looking in. If only he hadn't held out his hand to her then. If he had been able to see the nature of this woman, none of this would have happened. Falling on her back, Nika asks what Shira left in the closet. In the empty look of the boy, Ichika sees himself, so he grabs his head. Cora thanks her younger brother for saving her, and he, using the key that was lying on the table, frees her hands. While she hugs Shur, Nika laughs, realizing that he is dying. And he also understands that he likes it. This cold feels incredibly pleasant. After getting up, and seeing that he got up and still thinking about the offspring, the one who went decides to do everything herself and sit on top. She leans over to him, telling him an interesting fact, in her opinion, that ants only have queens, they don't need kings. Because the male is nothing more than a bag of seed. This is her last act of mercy to him. The nun congratulates Nick on his birthday. Before the eyes of the guy, his whole cruel life flashes by, where he was tortured, and where he himself was tortured. It is washed away to where all the dirt is swirling. Laughing, Nika reaches out and closes her hands around Sister Cora's neck. I will be watching your fate right inside of you. He keeps laughing, but Corey seems to like it. One way or another, only Nika dies. So, the nun who went was cured, everything returned to normal, but Nick's death left a deep imprint on the children living in the boarding school. Everyone, including Kukuri and Juga, continue to work, realizing that even the best, that is, Nika and Ichika, could not defeat their sister. Other children come to the conclusion that Sister Cora is invincible. Ichiko is not working right now. He has accepted responsibility and therefore is currently in chains. Mitya concluded that if number one meant nothing to the nun, then she should accept that children for this woman are a source of income and nothing more. There was no more formidable supervision, no masters, even more. There was an opportunity to escape. But Juga missed her and didn't realize it right away. When Sister Cora returned from the hospital to the island, the children immediately ran to apologize for the fact that they had not yet completed the work. Everyone was very fussed. Everyone wanted to take Nick's place as soon as possible, but Shira became the number one. In the last pages, Ichika told Juga that there was still a way to get out of here. We also see the younger brother, who is now carrying out the punishment. Then the main character thanks Kukyur for the fact that he remains himself through her efforts. In the next frame, Mida screams, indignant at why her sister likes Gigi more. In general, we see that everything went on as usual. 6 months have passed. Sister Cora is pregnant. When night has fallen, Juga says that this island is the world of the dead. Here everyone has to kill himself over and over again, and then others. And devouring their lives, only she continues to live. Today is their last chance to escape. Let's go live our lives. The end of the first part. So, let's take it in order. Although it is written that this is only the first part, this is the end. There is no second one, and most likely there will not be any more. According to the translator, the series did not sell very well, and the mangakas did not extend it. Most likely, Natsumi knew that this would happen, and decided that if she threw as much groundwork as possible for the next part, then her audience would be interested, and the series would be extended. But it was not extended, and we get an incomplete story, with a crumpled ending, and a bitter feeling that we were fucked. Because in the context of the entire manga, it is very hard to believe in the impossibility of this very escape. And I can't believe it, because even though Sister Cora is wildly crazy, she nevertheless does not feel invincible. Her very image is not enough to maintain an atmosphere of hopelessness. Therefore, you involuntarily begin to think, why not use brute force? Let's take an example with a grimace. There too, the owner treated his residence. It wasn't an island, but just an apartment building surrounded by ordinary free people. A person is free to go anywhere and do anything. But there the learned helplessness was built on fear and misunderstanding. Almost no one knew how the owner's power worked. All they had was the understanding that if you disobey, you or your loved ones will die. By itself, for an ordinary person, the force seems to be embedded, so even its knowledge did not give anything to people. Understanding the perverse nature of the owner reveling in permissiveness, adults cannot do anything. Because the whole family will be responsible for the consequences of failure. The father screwed up, and the daughter will jump on the road under the car. Here, learned helplessness is perceived naturally and logically. As for the cradle, from the point of view of manipulating young children, it also fits into the canvas of logic. But all the rhetoric and about management through the imposition of guilt, breaks the main character. Neither the first nor the second takes it. Even torture doesn't take him. He is determined to escape because he has the motivation to get Shire out of this hell. To finish the manga now and escape would have no complaints, but the groundwork for the second part breaks all perception, making you think why not use violence. No, I'm not saying that a nun could even be killed, everything is clear. For the sake of the way of your character, you do not want to get your hands dirty. Although it would seem, well, okay. But nothing prevents you from just hitting a woman with something heavy on the head and tie her up and run away. Especially considering that the main forces of Nick's sister and Ichika are no longer an obstacle. And even more so, taking into account the fact that the sister left everyone on the island at the end and sailed to the hospital. There's a phone, even if you call the police. At the same time, forgetting about the phone, tying her up, it's not even necessary to run away right away. You can simply neutralize the woman and then calmly prepare for departure. Again, Jugo is now the most mature and the strongest there. But no, he decided to wait for something incomprehensible. And this, taking into account one of the most significant things. According to their own boredom and calculations, the Shira candy taker has 6 months to live. And the calculation was made about a month before Nick's birthday, and at the end 6 months passed, that is, he waited from 6.5 to 7 months for all the time allocated for his younger brother to escape. It's partly good that there is no Prota, because against the background of the ending, it seems to me, it would already be sucking out of your finger. It seems to me that Natsumi decided to make a bet and rewrote the end, but the bet did not play. The end itself is perceived disgustingly, not only because it is empty and breaks the logic of the entire previous narrative, but also from the point of view of presentation. Just frames with random events that occurred over the next 6 months. A whole bunch of things are thrown around, causing visual and mental overload. However, along with this, the rest of the story is shown well. You really wonder what will happen next and how the characters will get out of this situation. Largely thanks to the well-written characters. Secondary, yes, for the most part it's just furniture, but those who are in the foreground stand out very well. Jugo, until the last chapters, that is, until the meeting with the candy woman, and the logic that appeared, I don't beat girls, is perceived as a determined and persistent guy. Sometimes he even causes admiration. Something personally reminded me of the main character from the manga, Savages from the Tower of Despair. Sister Cora is also a great character. She is beaten off, undoubtedly doing evil, partly cunning, and surprisingly naive. A nun can be unpredictable, and drawing her face and working with facial expressions at certain moments cause delight. In fact, it's even surprising that Natsumi decided not to reveal much about how she took her sister's place. But gold, as the best prescribed character, I would give Nick. No less beaten, and in some moments even more. His backstory is quite standard, but extremely convincing. His every appearance and action is very interesting to watch. He combines strong charisma, psychopathic attitude, well-read, and unpredictability. In my eyes, he began to pose a threat much faster than the central antagonist. At the same time, by the way, it is worth praising mangaka separately for his attention to some details, and this is Greek mythology. Elysium is a part of the afterlife inhabited by the blessed. Blissful, that is, happy to be here, are those who, without resisting the system, eat sweets. Another of the most obvious details is the picture of Saturn devouring his son in the room of Ichika and Nick. Saturn was worried that he might be overthrown, and therefore devoured his children, and Nick really tried to overthrow the nun, for which he was married to some extent before his death, just with the wrong mouth. Finally, a drawing. As for me, it's great. The style of the mangaka is very pleasant, the characters are drawn well, and the frames themselves turn out to be perfectly detailed. What is the result? The Cradle of the Saint is a good story with an excellent drawing. Everything is spoiled by the ending and the incompleteness of the story, because after this, I simply don't want to even guess whether Jugo managed to escape in the end or not. I read it and forgot. Moments of grief elements are quite graphic, but still not up to the manga children. In comparison with this title, The Cradle turned out to be a little deeper. In general, the time spent on manga is not a pity, even taking into account all the disadvantages. It was very interesting to read. What do you think about this story? Did you like it or not? Share your opinion in the comments. And also don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. This is very important for the development of the channel and content in general. And that's it for today. Thank you all very much for your attention. I love you all, and bye to everyone.